Okay, composing functions. It's when you have two separate functions, you perform an operation on those two functions, and it becomes a completely new function. So, for example, if you add two functions, subtract, multiply, divide, or when you compose one function inside another function. And you can write it a couple of ways. The f of g of x, or this kind of more visual way where you see the g inside the f function. And when you're finished, it's a completely new function. Each one of these, when you perform an operation on two separate functions, it becomes itself its own new function. So if we said that f of x is 3x, g of x is 4x subtract 5, and I asked you to add those two functions together, well, the result would be a new function that we're going to call h of x. So f of x plus g of x, 3x plus 4x minus 5. Well, the x's can be added. So that's our new function. All right. So when it's add, subtract, multiply, or divide, you all would be able to handle 3x subtract. If we switched this to subtract, well, the new one would be negative x plus 5. That's what the new h of x. If we said multiply those two together, all of you would know what to do on that. The more complex ones are the composing a function inside a function. So here's our two functions. F of x is negative 2x subtract 3. G of x is x squared subtract 2x. The notation is important. Whatever this second term is, this entire function is going to go right there where that x is. The second function goes inside the first function. So notice how I do it. I go ahead and write this function down, negative 2x, where the x would be, I put a big space between two parentheses. So negative 2x subtract 3, that's the f of x. And where that x would have been, I go ahead and insert the g function. And then we're going to do the distributive. Negative 2x times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times negative 2x is positive 4x. And then don't forget, you have to bring down that subtract 3. So the f of g, once we've simplified it, that's a completely new function that I'm just going to call h of x. All right, let's do one more. So now we're putting the f function right where the n is. So this function now is n squared plus 3, and where the n was, we're going to put the whole f function. I did that down here. So this says n squared plus 3, but where n was, we put the entire f function, negative n subtract 4. And when you square it, remember when you square a binomial, that's like saying, negative n subtract 4 times negative n subtract 4. And when you do the double distributive, negative n times negative n is positive n squared. Negative n times negative 4 is 4n. Now we've taken care of that. Well, this negative 4 times this negative n is another 4n. So that gives us positive 8n. And then negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. But we can't forget, we have to add the plus 3. Well, the 16 and 3 can be added together. So our final new function, h of n will be n squared plus 8n plus 19. And I think that is all. So that is just a quick refresher on composing functions, the 4 operations, and then composing a function inside another function. You could also do it graphically with Desmos, and then try it with different values. You could see how the functions end up interacting with each other. So it's something to mess around with.